So today I'm going to be building my prototype to see if I can get salsa distributed onto a chip without it falling on the table or frankly on my shirt, because I'm a child and I can't go through an entire meal without dripping it somewhere. So some of the materials I'm going to be using for this, I've got essentially 3/16 inch cast acrylic here. I've got some 1x2 strips that I'm going to use, and I've got a couple of other pieces. My idea is to just get through the mechanical part of the design today, and if I have additional like electronics like motors to add in, I'm going to do that next time. So I've got these two pieces of my hopper built, and what I need to do is to cut some pieces of 1x2 here to fill in the sides, and then I'll drill into that. I will take off the covering of this after I'm done drilling, but I do think for now I'm going to leave it just to keep the acrylic safe. I don't want to damage it too much. The big question I've got is whether or not I should drop this past and then cut off the end here. I think that's going to be a little hard to execute, but it is pretty thin wood, so maybe I can give it a shot. I think that that might be a little bit better to bring it sort of flush on this side and go with that. So wish me luck. Okay, now I want to drill into this. Kind of want to peel this off so I can see what's happening inside. So I'm going to go ahead and peel the paper on these. What? That's my favorite. I'm gonna go clean that up. Caught myself with the coping saw earlier. So I've got this nice orangey acrylic. So you'll be able to see what's going on here. I want to drill in and screw into those. I understand my audio is not going to be great on this video. That's fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these drywall screws, and I really think I probably want a pilot hole so I avoid cracking my acrylic here. They're a little, oh, no, they're fine. They're fine. So I just need to find a drill bit thread size which works. So what I've got in here now is too big. Probably one-eighth, still a little too big. I'm gonna go 7/64, and then there will still be something to bite into. So there's a chance, I don't know if you can see this in the video right now, but I've got essentially an inch here, roughly an inch where salsa can go, which might be too much, but I think part of what I'm trying to do here is a bit of an experiment to find out. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to try to tack this one up. So ideally I would have gone through hole size on the acrylic itself and then pilot holes into the wood. Trying to do this to the best of my ability. You can see the screws sort of stand off here. So probably, you know, this isn't going to be the prettiest way to adhere this. I might actually do the whole thing in acrylic after I learn from this prototype, but that's what this looks like for now. So let's get this side finished out. If I'd kept the masking on, it might have avoided the splintering there, but the problem is that then I can't see what's going on, and removing the masking once the screws are in is much harder. It's not going to be perfect again, but that's why we prototype. And in hindsight, acrylic probably wasn't the best prototype material. It's sort of hard to work with unless you have a reliable way of cutting it like a laser cutter, which is what I'm going to use for my final build, just so that way I get a little bit more precision, because I can tell you cutting this stuff with a hacksaw is not very fun, which I might actually go to the bandsaw to do some of these more complicated parts that I think are coming. But the first question I need to ask is, how quickly does salsa flow out depending on you know, this width, and if I can constrain the width, does it change the flow rate? Because you don't really want too much salsa getting on each chip, right? So I got to do that without making a giant mess. Okay, so I now have a hopper for salsa, but part of the deal here is that I need a way to hold this up, and I think with the salsa it's going to add some weight, so I need to essentially devise a way mechanically to hold this up. Most likely I'm going to essentially, I don't know if you've seen what a microscope looks like. It usually has sort of a base, and so I'm going to try to replicate that the best I can with the crude stuff that I've got around here. So we'll see how that goes. So a little bit surprisingly, this is actually standing up without the extra support over here. It may make it actually easier to accomplish what I want to do, because my goal would be to then take a disc like this and rotate the disc and have a hole in the disc at a certain spot, which will squirt out some salsa. But the thing we really want to do right now is figure out how much salsa is going to squirt out and where. So I've got to get a couple more things before I can try that out. Good old squishy salsa jar opening sound. Oh, salsa in there. Nice. So the question is, how quickly is this going to dump out onto the plate, and how much? So starting now. Okay, so it all dumped out real quick, and I should have taken this in slow-mo, so I'm going to probably run the experiment again, but my goodness, it dumped out quick. So I'm actually going to restrict the area that this can come out. I'm going to try to cut it in half. So I've got masking tape. It's not as cool as gaffer's tape, but that's about a 1/2 inch opening. Just pop salsa back down. I'm probably going to spill this salsa in my attempt to make an unspillable salsa thing. What I am seeing is that if I have a smaller opening like this, I might need like an agitator in here, which I can definitely do. I can hook a motor up with like a propeller. That's really interesting. Yeah, fascinating. So there's more bridging with chunky salsa. I'm going to guess that if I've got this more liquidy restaurant style, it's going to be different significantly. Okay, so this time I'm trying with a restaurant style, which is certainly more liquidy. also tastier and actually more akin to the problem statement that I originally gave. I can tell you that a lot less salsa needs to come out in order to, do a chip. What I can do is essentially have an agitator as well as a motor that is spinning the salsa relief valve, so to speak. Oh yeah, like this is super liquid. Oh, probably like I'm not gonna say that, but probably like my poop after I eat too much of this. So if I drop this, oh yeah, and it all flows out. So the restricted thing is pretty important, but it means that the amount of time that I'm going to let salsa come out better be very small. Because if it's not very small, we're going to get way too much salsa on a chip, and that's just going to make the problem worse. Alright, so from my prototype so far, the big lessons that I'm taking away are that it needs to be closer together, a smaller orifice, and then the amount of time that we allow salsa to come out. I don't think I'm actually going to need an agitator if I go with something so liquidy, so I just need a very small space for the pressure release valve, essentially. I could use an actual valve. I was going to use actually like a disc like this, and then just cut a slit out of it, maybe like that, and so as a motor drives it around, I can actually do the calculation to figure out how wide that slit needs to be based on the things that I've filmed here so far. I want to sort of evaluate that and see how quickly stuff is coming out, but I'm going to do that outside of video.